Caitlin Clark. Making her fourth All-Star appearance and leading the league in...
Just 6 words. That's what it took for Caitlin Clark to freeze the entire basketball world in place. Was it a mistake that backfired, or a perfectly planned reminder of who really runs the show? The internet went wild, storylines flipped completely, and the WNBA, which has always been careful with its image, suddenly found itself watching a superstar change the game on the fly. This goes beyond drama. This is about control. This is about influence, and we're just getting started.
Ready for the culmination of what has been a wonderful celebration all weekend long.
So let me take you back to July 2025 in Indianapolis. WNBA All-Star Weekend was meant to showcase women's basketball at its absolute peak. Gainbridge Fieldhouse was buzzing with almost 17,000 fans losing their minds. The atmosphere was incredible, with the league's top talent all in one spot ready to deliver something special. But underneath all the excitement and amazing plays, tension was building that would spark headlines for weeks.
The expiration of the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement and tensions are running high.
Before tip-off, the players made a unified statement that hit hard. Every single one of them showed up wearing identical black shirts during warm-ups that read something powerful.
Kelsey Plum to the Sparks. This was the first trade in the league history, and Kelsey Plum heads to LA with the 9th overall pick.
The message was simple but direct. Pay us what you owe us. This wasn't about making a fashion statement. This was activism in action. With the WNBA's collective bargaining deal expiring that October, these women were fighting for what they deserved.
You know, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Right now, WNBA players only see about 9% of what the league brings in. Compare that to NBA guys who take home 50% of revenue. Most of these incredible athletes have to play overseas just to pay their bills during the offseason. Their message was crystal clear, completely unified, and absolutely necessary. Then Kelsey Plum decided to speak up and everything went sideways.
We had a very,
that really needed to be mentioned.
Plum plays guard for the Los Angeles Sparks and serves as vice president of the Women's National Basketball Players Association.
The brightest stars in the game, Caitlin Clark going toe-to-toe with the biggest women's basketball stars.
She was sitting at the post-game press conference right beside New York Liberty superstar Sabrina Ionescu. Every camera was focused on them, reporters hanging on every word, when Plum chose to drop something that nobody saw coming. While talking about their coordinated protest shirts, she decided to say this: "The t-shirt unified front was something we decided on this morning during our meeting. And you know, not to be a tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark showed up for that."
The Caitlin Clark will miss tonight's Fever game against the Sparks with a groin issue.
Everything stopped for a second. Sabrina Ionescu, sitting right there, couldn't contain her reaction. She rolled her eyes hard and shot back with pure sarcasm. That really needed to be brought up.
Here comes Clark. This is one thing you get with Clark is great pace and great passes. Found Boston perfectly.
You could see the discomfort all over Ionescu's face in that moment. She understood exactly what Plum had just pulled, and it wasn't pretty. What started as a celebration of player solidarity and demands for fair pay had just been hijacked by what looked like a cheap shot at the league's biggest name.
Decades, the best get-ahead passer, and her three-point shot.
Caitlin Clark wasn't even on the floor that day. Context is everything here. Caitlin Clark missed that meeting and wasn't playing in the All-Star game because she was dealing with a groin injury. She'd been battling this problem since mid-July and was home focusing on recovery.
Wall Street Journal reports the basketball superstar is about to sign a Nike endorsement deal worth $28 million.
The suggestion that she was somehow avoiding player activism or turning her back on fellow athletes wasn't just incorrect, it was offensive. Clark had been the driving force behind bringing incredible attention to the WNBA. Television viewership had gone through the roof since she arrived. People were buying merchandise like crazy. Ticket prices were climbing fast. Expansion fees jumped from $50 million all the way to $250 million almost instantly. She was literally the reason the league could even think about negotiating better deals.
Caitlin Clark, one of the most dynamic players in the country, and
But there was Plum in front of everyone who mattered in basketball, implying that Clark and her people didn't really care about the cause. The response was immediate and harsh. Social media exploded with fury. Fans called Plum jealous, petty, and completely misguided. Sports commentators jumped in, with Colin Cowherd absolutely destroying Plum for attacking the one player who elevated the WNBA from bargain basement to luxury status. The numbers don't lie. Since Clark showed up, TV ratings shot up, merchandise sales went crazy, ticket prices kept rising. The WNBA just announced their best viewership numbers in league history. Expansion fees skyrocketed from $50 million to $250 million overnight. She's become their biggest weapon in salary negotiations. Yet Plum decided to publicly target the WNBA's most valuable player.
Oh, I made a bad joke.
Yeah.
I made a really bad joke. Tough one.
Caitlin Clark said absolutely nothing. No tweets, no statements, no defensive responses whatsoever. While the internet exploded, defending her and analysts debated whether veterans resent rookies, Clark just kept doing her thing. She let the chaos swirl around her while staying perfectly, strategically silent. This wasn't being weak, this was smart power moves. Clark knew something Plum missed completely. Sometimes saying nothing says everything. Sometimes you let your impact and success speak for you. And when the perfect moment shows up, that's when you make your move. This is strategy, not impulse. Clark was thinking several steps ahead while everyone else was still trying to catch up.
Caitlin Clark in town. More than $2 million in tickets were sold. That's an all-time WNBA record.
Her supporters went to war for her online. Analysts picked apart Plum's comment and social media burned with outrage. But Clark stayed focused on what actually mattered, getting healthy, staying prepared, and building her brand piece by piece. Jumping in immediately would have made her look insecure. It would have given Plum's criticism more weight and made the whole thing bigger. So she held back. She let the backlash handle itself. She let other people control the narrative. Colin Cowherd tore Plum apart on national TV. Social media destroyed the logic of going after the league's biggest attraction. Sabrina Ionescu's eye roll became the viral moment that told the whole story. Then exactly when the timing was perfect, Clark made her move.
A four-time WNBA All-Star making her Olympic debut.
The opportunity came just 24 hours later. Kelsey Plum posted on Instagram celebrating All-Star Weekend with a basic caption, "What a weekend." She included photos of herself with teammates at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. But Clark spotted something Plum completely missed. There was a huge Nike logo visible in the background. Here's the thing, Plum doesn't represent Nike. She actually switched to Under Armour back in 2022 and even got her own WNBA colorway with them. Clark, on the other hand, is basically Nike royalty in the league, with a massive multi-million-dollar endorsement contract.
Caitlin Clark, I mean, which one is
WNBA players.
Do you feel right now you're the best player in women's college basketball?
She wasn't going to let that mistake slide by unnoticed. Her comeback was 6 words exactly. Thank you for the Nike ad. No exclamation marks, no emojis, no anger, just a perfectly sharp, expertly timed observation delivered with the calm confidence of someone who knows exactly where they stand. The internet went absolutely insane. Screenshots were everywhere. Fans were calling it either petty or brilliant. Sports blogs and podcasts analyzed every single angle. With just 6 words, Clark had reminded everyone of her influence, her brand power, and her grasp of the business side that Plum, despite years in the league, clearly didn't get. The genius was in how many levels it worked on. On the surface, it was just playful irony, but underneath it was strategic brilliance, a subtle but unmistakable reminder of Clark's status as the league's most marketable superstar.
Kelsey had a big game, team had a big dominating game over Caitlin's.
Plum had accidentally given her the perfect setup, and Clark delivered a devastating finishing move. It was precise, intelligent, and fun. It wasn't meant to be personal, just incredibly effective. Clark didn't need to run through her achievements, ratings impact, or revenue numbers. Those 6 words handled all of that for her. Plum went completely quiet. No comeback, no explanation, no defense whatsoever. Weeks went by with the story still simmering. While the internet picked apart every detail, Plum realized she'd been completely outmaneuvered. Any response would have just made things worse for her. Right then, Caitlin Clark showed the world who really controls women's basketball, not through speeches, press conferences, or interviews, but through perfect timing, smart strategy, and commanding presence. Clark wasn't just another player on the court. She was giving a masterclass in influence and power. She proved that being dominant in the WNBA isn't only about points, assists, or highlight reels. It's about reading the moment, understanding the situation, and knowing exactly when to strike, and just as importantly, when to stay quiet. With 6 simple words, Clark demonstrated that the future of this league isn't just about athletic ability, it's about intelligence, composure, and having complete control of both the game and the culture surrounding it. Caitlin Clark didn't just respond, she reminded everyone that in today's women's basketball, power gets earned, timing means everything, and sometimes staying silent sends the loudest message of all.
Kelsey Plum, she's got nothing but 2 All-Stars in front of her.
It took until mid-August, almost a full month later, for Plum to finally address what happened publicly. She went on Sue Bird's podcast called Bird's Eye View and basically tried to clean up the mess with what looked like pure damage control. "I made a bad joke," Plum confessed. "I made a really bad joke."
Is Mr. Magic Johnson your friend versus Mr. Larry Bird simply the best player rivalry of all time?
She continued explaining, "I honestly was like, hey, Team Clark didn't make it to the meeting either. Just making a joke, trying to lighten up the room. I was joking that they were hungover, even though our team nickname was hungover. So I was like, at least we showed up." She also said she felt bad that her comment shifted attention away from the real issue, which was player pay in the upcoming CBA talks. She stressed that all the players were united, everyone wore the shirts, and she never intended for it to become a Caitlin Clark versus the veteran storyline. What this whole drama actually exposed goes way beyond 2 players trading subtle jabs on social media. It revealed the complex tensions happening in the WNBA right now, a league experiencing incredible growth, mainly because of one player's massive popularity, while veteran athletes who've been working hard in relative obscurity for years watch everything change around them. Don't get it twisted, the growth is real and it's changing everything. Before Caitlin Clark showed up, the WNBA was dealing with viewership numbers that made primetime games feel like footnotes. Arenas sat half empty, media coverage was practically non-existent, the league was bleeding approximately $40 million every year, despite showcasing incredible talent. Then Clark arrived and everything transformed almost immediately. TV ratings doubled, tripled, sometimes quadrupled. Her Indiana Fever games became appointment television. Anything with her name and number sold out faster than stores could reorder. Ticket prices went through the roof. All of a sudden, casual sports fans who had never watched a single WNBA game were tuning in to see what everyone was talking about. Expansion fees jumped to $250 million as investors finally saw real money-making potential for the first time in the league's 28-year run. But for veterans like Kelsey Plum, who won 2 WNBA championships with the Las Vegas Aces and put in years of elite work, watching this shift had to be incredibly hard. Plum is an amazing player on her own merit, putting up over 20 points per game for the Sparks. She was a former #1 overall draft pick who's made multiple All-Star teams. She's represented Team USA internationally and earned every bit of success through dedication and hard work. But despite all that, she's never gotten the kind of mainstream attention and financial opportunities that Clark has commanded from her very first day. That's not Clark's fault. That's just how star power, marketability, and timing work. Some athletes break through their sport and become cultural phenomena. Clark is definitely one of them. While it makes complete sense that veterans might feel some kind of way about a rookie coming in and immediately overshadowing everyone's visibility and earning potential, that frustration can't be aimed at the person who's raising the tide for everyone. Because here's the reality that some people seem hesitant to accept. Caitlin Clark's success benefits everyone's success. The higher ratings she creates mean better TV deals for all players. The more merchandise she moves means more revenue for the league. The more attention she brings to women's basketball means more young girls will dream of playing, creating deeper talent and more competition in the future. Clark isn't stealing anything from veteran players. She's building opportunities that never existed before she got here. Every single player in the WNBA gains from her being there, whether they want to acknowledge it or not. The salary cap increases, the improved travel conditions, the better facilities, all of that happens because the league is finally making money and sustainable in ways it never was before. And a huge part of that transformation comes directly from Clark's impact. The WNBA absolutely needs Caitlin Clark. It also needs Kelsey Plum and Sabrina Ionescu and Aja Wilson and Brianna Stewart and every other skilled player who makes the product worth watching. The ideal situation is where all these players understand they're more powerful together, that Clark's stardom creates opportunities for everyone, and that staying united in labor talks matters way more than personal egos or feeling disrespected. The Pay Us campaign was strong and totally needed. These players absolutely deserve better money, better travel, better resources, and a much bigger piece of the revenue they create. But that message gets confused when it comes with public callouts of the league's biggest star for missing a meeting while she's injured. Caitlin Clark has managed this balance incredibly well so far. She's shown respect to veteran players, giving credit to the legends who made her opportunities possible. She's been a team player with the Fever, sharing the ball, celebrating teammates' success, and not making everything about her personal numbers. She's used her platform to promote women's basketball as a whole, not just herself. When dealing with criticism or slights, she's responded with either silence or light humor, instead of starting fires. That shows someone who gets that her long-term success depends not just on individual performance, but on the health and growth of the entire system. She wins when the WNBA she loses when the league looks divided or petty. So she acts in ways that build up rather than tear down, even when it would be easy to hit back harder. The 6-word Nike comment was probably the closest she's come to throwing any shade, and even that felt playful rather than mean. It was the kind of celebrity roast that gets people talking without destroying relationships. It reminded everyone of her market power without directly claiming she's better than other players. It showed confidence without cockiness and effectively ended the whole back and forth by being so perfectly done that any response from Plum would have seemed defensive or small. That's expert level social media game, the kind that makes you forget she's only been in the professional league for one season. She handles herself like someone who's been managing fame and public attention for decades, when really she's still learning this new level of scrutiny as she goes. Moving forward, the Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum situation will definitely be one of the most interesting storylines to watch in the WNBA. Will it turn into a genuine rivalry built on mutual respect, the kind that makes both players better and creates matchups that fans absolutely have to see? Or will it stay awkward and tense like their interactions have been so far? The answer probably comes down to how both players decide to handle the relationship going forward. If Plum can get past whatever frustration or resentment exists and see Clark as a teammate rather than competition, there's real potential for a positive dynamic where two elite guards make each other better. If Clark keeps handling criticism with class and humor while letting her game do the talking, she'll keep winning over even the people who want to see her fail. And if both players can keep the attention on basketball instead of social media beef or press conference drama, everybody wins. Indiana Fever versus Los Angeles Sparks games are definitely going to be must-see TV now. Fans will be glued to their screens wondering if there's extra intensity when these two go head-to-head. Will Plum guard Clark with playoff-level intensity like she did during the All-Star game? Will Clark specifically try to put up huge numbers against Plum, making her statement on the court instead of through Instagram comments? Or will both players handle it like professionals, treating it like any other game while the media and fans desperately look for drama that isn't really there? The reality is both players are too smart and too focused on winning to let this distraction mess up their seasons. Clark's trying to get the Fever to the playoffs and prove she's not just a regular season story. Plum's trying to help rebuild the Sparks into championship material after leaving Vegas. Neither can afford to let personal issues get in the way of team success. What makes this whole situation so interesting is that it shows a generational change happening right in front of us. The established players are being forced to share the spotlight with a new star who showed up with more hype, more money, and more attention than anyone before her. That's uncomfortable. It creates natural tension, but it also creates chances for growth, both for the league and individual players. If this gets handled right, it could become one of those legendary rivalries that people talk about for decades. Bird versus Magic, Jordan versus everyone, LeBron versus the world. Clark versus Plum could be the rivalry that defines this era of women's basketball, a competition that drives both players to greatness while giving fans incredible storylines to follow year after year. Or it could just fade away, becoming another forgotten social media moment that seemed huge at the time but didn't really matter. What happens next will make the difference. How these two elite athletes ease to write what comes next in this story will determine everything. 6 words shifted the entire conversation. But the real question is, how will the WNBA adapt to a world where one player can control attention, shape stories, and redefine power in real time? Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's changing the rules completely. If this is only the start, what comes next? Who will rise or fall under this new spotlight? This story is nowhere near finished. The game will never be the same.